It is Monday, the 27th of November 2023. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. Investigations continue into an early morning arson attack at the licensing office in Kearney, which destroyed 14 vehicles that were impounded in relation to current matters under investigation by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Transport Commissioner Clive Clark said he learned of the blaze around 4 a.m. Sunday after being contacted by facilities personnel. Clark said the security officer on duty reported hearing an explosion prior to the blaze. He said during a patrol, the guard observed there was a fire at the area which the vehicles were impounded. While fire officers were able to get the blaze under control, the commissioner said, as a result of the nature of what they saw, the TTPS became involved, saying the matter is now receiving the full attention of both the Trinidad Tobago Fire Service and the TTPS. The county licensing office was closed at 2:15 p.m. on Friday, November 24th, to facilitate routine maintenance work, which is not related to the electrical updates, which went smoothly. Despite the fire, licensing office is expected to resume operations today. From December 15th, the public is invited to take part in the Police Service Commission's national survey to collect data on their experiences and satisfaction with the performance of the Trinidad Tobago Police Service. The Public Trust, Confidence and Satisfaction Survey provides the public of TNT with an opportunity to have their say about the responsiveness of the TTPS to the safety and security needs and concerns of the public. The survey is one of the tools the Commission uses to undertake its constitutional mandate of monitoring the efficiency and effectiveness of the discharge of functions of Commissioner of Police and Deputy Commissioners of Police. The entertainment fraternity was plunged into mourning early Sunday morning when popular disc jockey Clyde the Outlaw Jemmott was killed in a car accident. Jemmott was in a car heading along the San Fernando to Point Fort in Archibald and Leon Highway when it reportedly flipped before it crashed into a light post near the Guapo roundabout around 4:30 a.m. Sunday. Reports say another occupant of the car, Johan Redhead, was hospitalized. Following the incident, many persons from the fraternity expressed condolences. Poor road lighting and inadequate signage may have factored into the accident on the newly opened highway to Point Fortin that claimed the life of Jemmott early Sunday morning. In a video of the accident posted to social media showing the mangled wreck and Jemmott's body lying on the roadway, voices in the background spoke about the poor lighting around the Guapo roundabout where the crash occurred. Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines gave a breakdown of the TTPS performance between September 2023 and September 2022. In a written response to a question filed in the Senate on Friday, Minister Hines reported between September 22 and September 23, only 4% of vehicle thefts were detected as police solved just 43 cases out of 1,090. The reports indicated the TTPS detection and solvency rates for the period stands at 18%, with police solving 83 out of 663 murders for the period. In news of the region, Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the trade and economic opportunities presented by the Samoa Agreement will be beneficial for Jamaica. He, however, said stakeholders must be assured there is nothing in the treaty that will contravene Jamaican law. Prime Minister Holness spoke on the issue on Sunday as he addressed the Jamaica Labour Party's 80th annual conference at the National Arena in Jamaica. Guyana President Irfan Ali has again rejected what he describes as Venezuela's propaganda regarding the border controversy and urged the residents of Baramita Region 1, Barawani, not to fall prey to the misleading messages from the Spanish-speaking country. President Ali made those remarks during a visit to the community where he promised residents that no efforts would be spared to safeguard Guyana's territorial sovereignty. He referenced fake releases being circulated on social media and called on citizens to rely only on the government of Guyana's Guyana Defense Force and the Ministry of Foreign and International Cooperation for official information. 14 Israeli hostages and 3 foreign nationals were released by Hamas. Among those freed is 4-year-old Abigail Aiden, who has dual Israeli and U.S. nationality. In exchange, Israel has released 39 Palestinian prisoners, its prison service has said. An experienced West Indies middle-order batsman Darren Bravo has decided to take a break from the international game after being overlooked for the upcoming one-day international series against England. Young Bravo took to social media to announce his decision to move away from selection for the West Indies. Taking to Instagram, Darren Bravo explained in a post that the decision had given him time to reflect on his future as a cricketer. He, however, made it clear he was not yet fully done with international cricket. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock on this, the 27th day of November. Yes, 27 days. That means it's 28 days to Christmas. It is a gorgeous full moon. Of course, I'll tell you the next full moon will be on Boxing Day. But thank you so much for joining us. Full cast in this morning. We just did from Paul Richards. We'll hear from Richard Rakobara Singh, Wendell Stephen. We got Ruben in the background. My name is Steve Khan. All right, let's see who sent us hellos. First thing this morning, of course, first off the gate, we've got Oliver Man Warren, we got Ewart Rajpal, Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona. We've got Marcia Rock, we got Carol Joseph, Wendy Ann James, Rena Boodoo Jennings, Brenda Isaac, Carol Guevara, Riri out in West Palm Beach, Florida. All right, watching us on YouTube this morning. Of course, good morning to God Celia out in Baltimore. Yeah, Maryland, Baltimore. Good morning to you. And let's see, who else is there? Sunny San Fernando. Good morning to you. Steve, I got that cough over the weekend. It's not easy. Yeah. I'm feeling a lot better. I just have this nagging cough. But that eventually will go. I'm taking some cough medicine for it. But I feel a lot better. I got some good rest over the weekend. Watched some good movies. Staple being Home Alone. I watched 1 and 2. All right, so thank you so much. Good morning to Wayne B in Covenant, Georgia. Mrs. R is locked on already. Let's get straight into the WT, see what's happening traffic and weather-wise. Traffic-wise, you'll pick up some going northbound on the sort of from Freeport towards Chicagonis. That main road is beginning to build. Charlieville towards the interchange, and you're pretty much going to get traffic by swim call. All right. Trin City to Uwe, Eastern Main Road in the usual spot. You're going to get it as you head towards McCoy and Tunapuna. The Valencia stretch is a heavy one this morning. Nothing out of the west, out of Marval. It's beginning to build. All right. Let's see what our weather is going to be like for today. It is 23 degrees on both islands. Nice and cool morning. And what they're saying, the weather for today, mostly fair, hazy, and breezy at times, despite the odd showery interruption. Hazy evening with a gentle breeze, a mild, moderate concentration of Sahara dust is present in our atmosphere. All right? And checking some temps quickly across our listenership, see what they're like. I was to add Boston, It's 2 degrees in Toronto. Miami, you're at 23, same as here. Orlando, 19. New York, ooh, warm, 7 degrees. Atlanta, 6 degrees. London, you're at double digits at 10. Tampa, 18. Washington, D.C., you're at 3. And our listener out in L.A., you're sitting at 12 degrees. All right? Right, so there you go. Quickly, let's say good morning. Sherwin Kerr, CJ New York, good morning to you as well. And good morning to you, Paul Richards.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. Good Monday morning to you.
How you doing?
Good November for 2023. I see you have a scarf again, so.
I actually forgot it at home. But I feel a lot better. It's just this nagging little cough.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, but I got some rest this weekend. I did. I really watched some I vegged out pretty much. I haven't done that in can't even remember. So I did, and took my meds as usual, and I feel a lot better actually. It's just that the fatigue. I get quick tired quickly. Did some stuff on Saturday. By 10 o'clock, I was exhausted. But yeah, thanks
That's
so much.
good.
I feel a lot better.
Good morning, Monday morning, TNT. It's Monday. November's coming to an end this week. And then we start the final month of the year, 2023. This year flew by
Mhm.
very, very quickly. Very, very. This year was like, whew, went by. So much happened as per usual. And over the weekend, well, normal Trinidad action. I didn't have any certain murders, but unfortunately, one of my colleagues and friends
Mhm.
died in a tragic accident. I really shut down after I heard about that about 9 o'clock Sunday morning. I just couldn't do anything. I just finished cooking and went into my bed and did nothing because I just was just so disturbing. Good morning to the family of Clyde Jamot and his colleagues at TTRM. Uh,
Yeah.
his life in an early morning crash in Vapu at just between 4 and 5 a.m. By apparently a roundabout that is not well lit. So by the time the driver realized there was a roundabout, he was already up on the lamppost, which also, after the car ran into it and flipped, fell on the car.
Oh, geez.
I
Didn't
mean, you
really.
couldn't have a more calamitous event than that. So after I mean, and I saw some pictures. I just had to shut down my phone after I saw the first video and pictures because it was just too disturbing. So condolences to his family, 56 years old.
How old?
One of the nicest people you'd ever meet in your life.
How
Clyde
old you
is
said he was?
56.
Wow. Young chap.
Yeah, so he'd been with 96.1 since its inception. So he's one of the longest serving employees, and very well respected and loved. So
Mm-hmm.
condolences again to him, his family and his colleagues and his friends, wider friends in the entertainment industry, because he was actually coming from a party and going to another one because he was a DJ. And when the
Yes.
horrible accident occurred, another young man named Johan Redhead apparently was another passenger in the car. He's warded in critical condition. Still, I haven't heard about any change to his status, so I hope he makes it through. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't get the impression that they're wearing seatbelts because my understanding is that Clyde flew out of the car, uh, and that, of course, is never a
Wow.
survivable event. Because you don't come out, you don't fly out of the car gently. Yeah?
No.
The force it takes to pitch you out of a car window or a car windscreen literally
Mm-hmm.
will break every bone in your body, almost.
Yeah. As I say that, I remember on Saturday, I see a family driving, a mother and father in the front seat, and they have a kid probably about 2 years old.
Standing.
No, mother has on seatbelt, daddy has on seatbelt, child is on the mother's lap, daddy is
Yeah,
driving.
that is a recipe for disaster.
And again, I call that seatbelts be made law in the rare seats. The need to have seatbelts that low. Anyway, nobody's really taking that on because more and more people I see driving holding their phone driving. Um, so
Well, if it's a baby, the mother should ideally be in the back seat with the baby. If she has to hold the baby on her lap, it should be in the back seat or in a car
yeah,
seat in the back.
this by
You
law this
shouldn't be
would be in a
just
car seat.
without way to go. And
Yeah,
the car seat should be tethered by the seatbelt,
we know a lot of people just rest the car seat there and figure,
which is craziness because then that's not going to save the child if God forbid
no,
there's an accident. So
because they keep thinking an accident could happen in front or back. There are accidents that happen on the side.
yeah,
A friend of mine lost his daughter because they were T-boned and she flew out of the back window.
Hmm.
So,
you have to be
it's
careful on the roads.
you have to be so And, and you see all the crazy driving. A car's a double-edged sword. And we have so many cars in our roads. PEF is out with a blaze. And, you have to drive, not for the car in front of you, but 3 cars in front of you, for the people on the side, and 3 cars behind you. People still don't use indicators. People still drive in the right lane slowly. I don't know. But sorry to hear about that accident. And that's why street lights are so important. So important, especially on a new highway like that where you really don't.
And by roundabouts, because
Yeah.
if you don't know the road and you come up on the road, you don't know it's a roundabout until you right up on it.
Until you reach.
Yeah, and in many cases, if you're driving at a particular pace,
Yeah.
it's almost impossible not to ram into the roundabout.
Look, I have a WhatsApp message coming in here saying that on the priority bus route, there are no street lights from Parsley Street to the East River flyover.
But maybe there will be no operational street lights.
Yeah, well then something tripped. Because if all those street lights not working, something disconnected, something. I don't know. But kudos to TNTech. We didn't have that. They shut down one of the plants to maintenance and there was no outages.
But that's not true. That is not true. There were no outages that you know about. But I was in San Fernando for most of Saturday afternoon at a symposium. And coming from San Fernando, there were several areas that were in darkness. So that is not true.
Maybe this was before 9 o'clock or after 9?
This is between 6 and 7 p.m.
Okay.
So
I know the shutdown was supposed to be from...
It wasn't as widespread as initially thought.
Yeah, I know it was supposed to be from 10 p.m. on Saturday to 9 a.m. on Sunday.
So I heard about that. They may have loads, and it wasn't one, it was about 5 different areas between San Fernando and Port au Prince. I noticed the areas in darkness. So
yeah,
there was some load shedding.
And there was an issue with TNTech last evening. Some areas went down. It wasn't for long, for about not more than half an hour, I believe.
But everybody braced for 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
but
I charged up.
Didn't think that materialized in a widespread manner anyway.
Yeah.
And why is it? What is the obsession with running and filling up gas stations to run for gas because electricity going for 10 hours? What is that about? As if Armageddon coming. And if Armageddon comes, like the full tank of gas will help you when the monsters come from the spaceships.
When the Richard Ragabarsons come from the spaceship,
yeah. How that might help you? You use the car to run for 4 hours, 5 hours, and then you stop. That and the obsession with when they have a hurricane buying the toilet paper.
Wow.
Trinidad's are very clean people. I'll say that much.
Very much
in that way.
Anyway. I did charge up all my lights. I have some LED bulbs that last about 4 hours. So I made sure they would charge. Well, one is always on.
I didn't worry about them. My only worry was I was not able to sleep without air conditioner or a fan. I just can't. It wouldn't happen. Anyway, good job, TNTech. It didn't seem like the outages were as widespread as initially thought, and probably for a good reason because the bandits listen to the radio and watch read news too.
Mm-hmm.
But they must have waited for outages along the East-West corridor to run amok. You understand?
I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt they had a plan.
Yeah. So thank God there clearly was some sort of coordination. Because I don't think the East-West corridor was widely affected at all, from what I hear. Yeah. The Police Service Commission where's Wendell? Did he say he's going to be absent?
No, he flew in earlier o'clock this morning. Oh. He'll join us, but a bit late.
The Police Service Commission is having a national survey from December 15th to collect data on the experiences and the satisfaction with the Public Trust, Confidence and Satisfaction Survey to the National Committee on the TT Police Service. Of course, their mandate is to monitor and report on the efficiency and effectiveness of the functions of Commissioner of Police and Deputy Commissioners of Police. Well, I saw the last report last week, and it wasn't too good. Wasn't too good at all. So I hope the public takes part and lets the Police Service Commission, the PSC, know how you feel. Speaking of which, the Minister of National Security, Minister Hines, answering writing to a question I posed some weeks ago about police operation and also operations in the education sector. And they said the biggest challenge they're having, the TTPS that is solving car thefts. So for the period September 2022 to September 2023, there were 1,090 cases of car thefts reported. Guess how many were solved? Out of 1,090 car thefts reported.
No clue.
43. 4%.
Wow.
I mean, these are not big islands. These are two small islands, one much smaller than the other one. 1,000 and how much that is? 46 or 47 cars just disappear.
Shops.
1,047 cars just disappear. Can't be found. That is a real spanking business car thieving in this country.
Yeah. And when they steal,
and that's what reported there.
As reported, and of course, when they steal, they leave it somewhere for a while, just to make sure it's not no GPS tracking on.
Well, the other thing too is that most serious crimes involve the use of a vehicle.
Mm-hmm. And most
very often stolen vehicles. There is a car theft racket in this country. And I think licensing needs to get more involved. We've spoken for years about the kind of infrared tracking that should be in cars, etc.
We're not reinventing the wheel.
General solvency rates improved slightly for the period in question to 18%. However, the report indicated between September 2022 and September 2023, out of 663 murders for that period, guess how many were solved?
No clue.
83. Right? For murders, detection rate was 13%. Rapes, incest, and other sexual offenses, 14%. Burglaries and break-ins, 18%. Robberies, 19%. General larceny, 14%. Larceny in a dwelling house, which is like a break-in, 17%. Larceny of motor vehicles, 4%, as I said before. And other serious crimes, 52%. Well, other serious crimes, I mean, when you report, you're so pointing the other areas, we're putting 52% of other serious crimes for. For the period in question, here they say, sexual offense, like including rapes, incest, and other sexual offenses, 843, of which 120 detected. 1,691 burglaries. I know some way you're cringing out there because what we're reporting on this for? Because it's news.
Yeah, it is.
Okay? Because it's news. Okay? And it's important to assess the efficiency and effectiveness of the police service. And that's why I asked such specific questions. Well, we'll see.
And of course, that big, what was it, Saturday evening, Sunday morning. Did you say 14 vehicles were damaged by fire licensing office in Garni?
Yeah, it seems like arson. And the vehicles were impounded in an area that indicated that they were parts of ongoing police investigations. Which means somebody tell themselves, we don't want the evidence to be found. Then we ban them because.
That's it.
That's how brazen criminals are. That they attack a state facility like licensing in County, which is an expansive well-designed facility, in my opinion. But they must have passed by a couple of times, realize here happening. That place, we could deal with that place.
Yeah, that easy.
Get the fuel or the accelerant, throw it, and try a Molotov cocktail and burn up 14 cars. Investigations are continuing. So whatever evidence they had in those cars, as
Gone up in smoke.
Well, I'm hoping that the police would have exercised due diligence and would have carried out their forensics before or while the cars were there, and not be waiting to go back and scour the cars. Because if that is what happened, well, here we go again. No wonder the solvency rate so low. But say we are time management licensing, Larry, let's leave it there. So I'm hoping that is not the case, and that they would have already collected their forensic information from these vehicles.
Yeah.
The thing about it, though, is what I wonder is that, well, if you impound my vehicle as part of a police investigation, it's still my vehicle. And I expect that one day it will be returned in sound manner. So what happens now to the owners of the vehicles and the values that the owners would have lost because it was impounded? And no true fault of the licensing office, but it was in state care. Is it that the licensing office is going to the Ministry of Transport is going to pay for those vehicles? Or they will leave them in the black hole of investigations forever and say, well, when the investigation finishes, we'll pay you. And just never complete the
insurance, if the vehicle still has insurance.
The other issue that I'm loath to speak about, because I'm trying to be so careful with what I say, I had to resist every ounce of me not to post on the weekend about it, is the good morning, Mr. Raghupasan.
Good morning, guys, and good morning to all our listeners, wherever you are.
I had to resist posting because even though my post should have been carefully thought out, I did not be able to respond to the post and put libelous or defamatory information. And it has to do with the 6 officers who were acquitted in the murders in Moruga over the weekend, on Friday, I should say. And the Commissioner of Police saying these incidents are regrettable. And when pressed further, due process of law was followed. Well, yes, technically due process of law was followed, because is not the one where the main witness decided to recant and stop testifying?
I think she was deemed a hostile witness. I didn't actually
deemed a hostile, well, because she stopped testifying.
I remember, that she was a hostile.
She changed her mind, right? All of a sudden, right? So, and not 2 weeks after that, 3 weeks after that, the case, of course, falls apart. Remember, we were asking ourselves if the police had other evidence in addition to her as the main witness. They stressed she was the main witness, which implied there were other witnesses, or there may have been other witnesses, and hopefully other evidence to support the case. But clearly, because her testimony was no longer available to the prosecution, the case fell apart and the men were acquitted. And there was so much commentary about that. The newspaper headlines were telling to me, because most of the newspapers went with the taglines, 6 cops walk free. You know? They had to be careful walking the line, no pun intended, with what they printed and what I believe is a wide perspective that while due process of law was followed and the men were acquitted, that not everybody believes that justice may have been served. And I think that's the safest I could put it. That's what I'm asking.
But I mean, if the DPP feels that there is enough evidence or there was some error on the judge's part, I mean, it was a jury's decision. In terms of
based on the evidence presented.
Yeah, so that if the DPP feels, well,
Yeah, no case
And
to fight again.
if there is some other case to fight, then he can, I guess, appeal.
But for now, the men have been acquitted. And I use the word I'm choosing my words more. I'm going to Wendell. I'm choosing
Morning.
my words very, very carefully because
Morning,
I don't
pal.
want to go out the foul of the law.
Well, they have been
And
acquitted.
they have been acquitted. They have been acquitted. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but I'm choosing
by a jury of their peers. By a jury of
right.
their peers.
Exactly. So, but as I said before, which I think is also on safe ground, that not everyone believes that justice may have been served. Certainly, the family member of the 3 victims don't believe that, from what I've read.
Yeah.
So,
Will it
yeah,
be wrong? Will it be wrong for us to say the same?
well, you could say it. I wouldn't say it.
To say what?
Will it be wrong for us to give an opinion? Let me first say good morning properly, right? Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, listeners and
Big
viewers.
head boy. I bet it could type things. That things is coming from behind my bed. I don't think you could tell.
Well, when you're visiting places, you don't have no choice, but you can't choose your bed. But will it be wrong? Will it be wrong for us to express that opinion but that we don't feel that justice has been
But
served in
I
this
think
matter?
each of us is an individual, and I prefer not to go down that road.
Mhm.
I'm just
Well, I
quoting
mean,
what
you
I
could say
saw.
whatever your opinion is, but I
Everybody
mean,
gets what their opinion is.
yeah, you can say whatever your opinion is. You just don't be libelous.
Don't be
But
liable.
yeah, but yeah,
No,
I
but
mean,
is it wrong? Is it wrong to criticize a decision like that? Because it was a jury decision, it was not judge decision.
You don't have to agree with a jury decision.
Right. Okay. I just
But
want to be sure.
you would have to criticize a jury decision, you would have to really be aware, to be fair, of what
Mhm.
evidence was presented to the jury, not just this decision, well, you disagree. If you think that a particular amount of evidence was presented to make a compelling case and the jury didn't follow through on what you think was a compelling case is one thing. But just to disagree for disagreeing's sake without having access to the information presented to them is something completely different.
remember,
But
but
we were-
remember, the barometer will always be beyond reasonable doubt. And if it
Mhm.
is that the jury and the judge will always give that direction that you have to prove or you have to be satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that the defendants would have done what they are charged of. And if it
Mhm.
is that the jury felt, well, there is doubt
Mhm.
on the face of the evidence presented before them,
They
then they are
acquit.
required to acquit.
So it's very specific. And that's why I said it
Yeah.
can't be just you disagree with the jury unless you were there, you followed the case, and you know what was presented, and the jury made a decision based on reasonable doubt that not enough evidence was presented, and that's
Mhm.
what. But
Right.
clearly,
Well,
based on the chronology of the case, some people may have different opinions.
right. So that was saying we followed it by way of the media because of what was reported, right? We also followed it especially by way of the testimony of the policewoman who was in protective custody for all those years, who turned state witness. We followed it via that. We understood at the end of the day that she was deemed a hostile witness because she changed her mind about testifying against the gentleman, the other accused, right? Right, her colleagues. So you could come to the opinion based on that you could have been. I was totally surprised by the verdict, as I'm sure a lot of people were.
Mhm.
Based on what
Well,
was reported.
I'm not surprised by the verdict at all,
Mhm.
based on the fact that it was articulated on many occasions that was the prosecution's main witness.
Yeah.
And if the
Yes.
main witness doesn't give what you think initially she agreed to or was going to give to be a major part of the prosecution's case, the case is going to fall apart.
Right. So we were surprised at that turn of events. I was
That turn of
surprised at
events.
that turn
But
of events.
but I'm not surprised by the verdict based on that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm not.
That that is, I mean,
Of course,
it has happened.
law is very specific. The process is
Mhm.
very specific. It's not what we feel or they feel. It's
Yeah,
based on a particular process.
yeah. We have 6 family members who would have been celebrating. 6 sets of family members who would have, and we had 3 sets of family members who would have been very heartbroken.
Distraught.
Yeah,
And
you
and
know.
and it, and it speaks to another issue which people have spoken about over and over.
Mhm.
Had this case been tried in a reasonable time, the primary witness may not have been recanted or turned hostile
Okay.
witness.
Yes,
You understand? But when that amount of
yes,
time passes and you don't know what other factors may come into play, I'm using that very widely.
yeah,
And that's the problem. If justice is supposed to be within a particular time, otherwise it's not justice.
yeah,
And this is not only for the families there. This is for the accused also, you know.
right.
Because 11 or so years of their life went by when this may have also been the outcome 7 years ago.
Yeah,
It's not only for the victims and their families, it's also for the accused. And that is
yes,
a serious issue with our criminal justice system.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
11 years, your life is on pause, basically.
On hold. And your family's lives by extension.
Yep.
So, I mean, either way, people lose.
yes.
It's quite disgusting, actually.
It's a no-win situation for both sides when
No.
it takes one.
Mm-hmm.
So
So it's
Yeah.
But moving on to positive things, I met a lady yesterday, and her name is Carol Mitchell, and she told me to tell her good morning, how she listens to the show every day.
Mm-hmm.
So good morning, Carol Mitchell. I did not forget your name. You see, I did not forget it. And
I'm glad to hear that.
And she said I mustn't be buffing you when I come in late.
And right.
Paul.
And I also met a fan of the show whose name has intrigued us for years. Central Animal Lover. Good morning.
Oh, you met her. Okay.
Beautiful lady. As they say, red woman.
Oh
very,
gosh.
very attractive woman. No, why you say oh gosh? Why you say oh gosh?
Red woman.
So I went to drop off an item that I had rented. A projector. I'm going to say a projector screen before your brain man.
Okay.
And she was in the car.
We have inquiring minds. We need to know.
Yeah, I know that's right.
We want to know.
No, but what you needed a projector for? What you projecting?
I moderated a disability public consultation on Saturday at
Okay.
So we had presentations. We had a presentation to share with you. I want to thank the girls and all the people who came out to the consultation on disability rights and law.
Mm-hmm.
Second of which will be this coming Saturday at Hillview College, 2 to 5 p.m. on Saturday. So I'm going to forget one time. And a lot of people came out. And you know what was really heartwarming for me is it had started and a group of about 6 young people who were, I think they weren't deaf, but they were mute. So they used sign language, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all young, looked like in the 20s and stuff like that, but so averse at sign language and so communicative and share their opinions and I mean, very, very good stuff. And all the people came out and shared their experiences and stuff. It was very heartwarming. And also this Wednesday, I'm going to plug one time since the plugging, the Parliament is having a town hall meeting on Wednesday. The GSE Public Admin and Social Services is hosting a town hall meeting on Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m. right in the Red House. For the public is invited to come and share their views on NCDs and if they think the state is providing an effective intervention services in the healthcare system for NCDs, in particular cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and I think it's HIV interventions.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're all invited.
Okay, thanks for that. I also wanted to mention 2 things about ARIMA. On Friday night, I know the Santa Rosa Catholic Church had a parang session in the Santa Rosa, the park right opposite the Santa Rosa Catholic Church, and the park right opposite, and they had parang and choirs and stuff.
Very nice.
Oh my God, a multitude of people came out. It was just so many people. And I decided to go because, of course, it's not far from me. And I walked across and I went. And you know what was really nice about it? It was a it had a vibe of what Arima used to be like. It had a real vibe of that. There were just so many Arimians you saw, and people brought their chairs and sat down to listen to the parang, to listen to the choirs. The
That's
trees
great.
were all the trees were all lit up. So I want to say kudos, and I want to say that it's something that you should do every year. And plus, they had people selling pastel and other sorts of foods, Christmas food, all around, and it was just really, really nice. Lots of children around. It was really nice. It started from about 6 or 7 p.m. and went till about 10 or 11.
Let me share some good news also.
But endless people came out, so I thought that was really good. And the second thing of Arima, I know some people on some of the Arima groups. I don't know if your areas, your respective areas have groups, but Arima has many groups on social media. And one of them, I know they were complaining, some people were complaining about the sign, the arch coming down on O'Mara Road, because of course it had to come down because they're doing work. And they're coming down, and the arch coming down, and some people were upset. I want to say good riddance. I did not like that arch. I found it was
That's the Kitchener, the one with Kitchener?
Kitchener and Holibitude. I found it garish. And no, I love extra foods, but this is a note to all people who sponsor things like that. Your name of your company does not have to be emblazoned all over.
All over the place. Oh my God, yes.
To identify that you did. It becomes garish, and it becomes not aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
I'm going to contribute
and I know that with Kitchener, but I'm always cautious of putting up people in things like that, things like arches, because there are many famous Arimians who have accomplished much stuff across the country. So I think you should just put an arch that's beautifully designed that simply says, "Welcome to Arima." If you want to put a clock, like they did, they put a clock to kind of represent the dial, then fine. Or if you could incorporate that in the design, because that's what Arima is known for, the dial, then fine. But I never liked that arch. I always thought it was garish and ugly.
Just before we go to this,
my opinion.
Let me congratulate Dr. Radhika Mahis and Support Autism TT, who had an event called Sensory Santa at C3 for children with impediments. So they who made deaf, and they would have had a lot of visuals and a lot of different kinds of stimulation to include those children in the Christmas vibe.
That's an interesting name.
Yeah, it's called Sensory Santa. All right, who has papers?
I don't. Sorry, I don't.
I don't either.
I was a little behind the time today to get papers. Yeah.
Let me. Well, you're here early-ish, so I'll give you a bly. Early-ish. All right. Let's go into newspapers for today. Let me start. It is Monday, the 27th of November. Let's start with The Guardian. Arsonists hit licensing in Kearney. Security beefed up after 14 vehicles torched in an attack. Coastal graduate urges colleagues to persevere.
So it wasn't an electrical fire?
No, it was not.
It was arson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, my cousin Amanda. I see she's on the stream, the comment section. Good morning, Amanda Edwin.
Let me try that stream. Now, where do I find it on this phone?
Education Ministry ordered to reinstate teacher. Soldiers suspected Mayaro home robbery released. Contractor Emily Elias urges government and opposition stop playing the fool on crime initiatives. Bamboo residents want talk with the Tunapunipiyaka Regional Corporation. They had 7 days until Friday. They must see about 2 more days now, or 3 more days. Popular veteran DJ dies in car crash. That's Clyde the Outlaw really sad news. And Guyana heightens military prep as Venezuela's December 3rd referendum nears. That is not going to end pretty. Let's move to the Express. Mystery fire destroys 14 cars at Kearney licensing. Controversy as 859 constables move up to corporal. Chutney singer Dandea dies. Dandea Narayan, popularly known for her hit Pika Choka Me. Darden says they condolences to her family and fans. Residents try to save guard booth. I can't wait to see how that turns out. Morning,
Nothing going on now there.
Don't be delusional. No leadership vacancy in the UNC. They're going to take it down. That's what they're going to do. 6 officers meeting their families, but how will they live?
Who going to take it down?
They're supposed to be reinstated if they're acquitted. They turn up on the Piarco Regional Corporation and the police will take it down.
Well, they should have been on. Would they? I don't think they would have been. Should have been on suspension with pay.
Yeah, exactly. That's and the police service social is also asking for them to get their back pay and everything that they deserve for the last 11 years, which is fair because they've been acquitted. Newsday now. Chief Justice tells new attorneys help restore public confidence in the justice system. New attorneys can do that? Okay. DJ Clyde the Outlaw dies in accident on Newport 14 Highway. Cop gets leave to challenge transfer from U.S. consulate. Whales and dolphins in the Caribbean. Cop fire destroys vehicles at county licensing office. Warehouse fire sends pipes hurtling into Cunupia community. Naparima girls top students no substitute for hard work. And TNT and Curacao sign bilateral travel agreement. Lecturer Dr. Gabriel Hussein, senior lecturer at UA, says increasing crime causes more abuse to women and girls. And those are trending stories in your Express, Guardian, and Newsday for today, Monday, the 27th day of November, 2023. Why you give me so much work this morning, Wendell?
Yeah, because I switched to chat to see what I can see, and I lost the camera, and then when I exited chat, I exited everything. Sorry, my apologies.
All right. Well, let's get into the results of morning poll. Before I do that, let's say good morning going to Sherwin Kerr, Dennis Bassard, Donna Leeling, Mogains, Arno, Lando, Rhonda Kelly, Straight Talk, Cheryl Seeley, Anthony Tinto out in Canada, Prabha, good morning, AJ Edwin, good morning, and Richard Duku, good morning to you guys as well. Watching us on
Edwin is my cousin. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Sankofa, good morning. Yeah. Dan Raj, good morning to you as well. All right, the results of our morning poll from Friday, where we asked you, do you support the position of the Minister of Education to make MyLAT enrollment mandatory for students expelled from school? Of course, that was our poll on Friday. Give the results right after this.
Persons with disabilities should have the same rights and access to services and opportunities as every other citizen in Trinidad and Tobago, but they do not, and it's time for change.
The Law Association of Trinidad Tobago Subcommittee on Human Rights Working Group on Disability Rights is hosting a series of consultations titled Law and Disability Rights.
Saturday, 25th November, Naparima Girls Auditorium, San Fernando.
And Saturday, 2nd December, Hillview College Auditorium, El Dorado Road, Tunapuna, 2 to 5 p.m.
Come share your important views on what you think laws that protect the rights of persons with disabilities in Trinidad and Tobago should look like, and what must be included in that law to protect your rights.
The Law and Disability Rights Public Consultations, Saturday, 25th November, Naparima Girls Auditorium, San Fernando, and Saturday, 2nd December, Hillview College Auditorium, El Dorado Road, Tunapuna, 2 to 5 p.m.
Come share your perspective and contribute to crafting comprehensive laws to protect the rights of persons with disabilities in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, the results of morning poll from Friday. Do you support the position of the Minister of Education to make MyLAT enrollment mandatory for students expelled from school? The results are in. 79%, 79 said yes. All right.
All right. Interesting. What is the poll? You all have to write, Richard. You have to write.
I have a suggestion, and I don't think it's not sub judice because the case done, right? Mm-hmm. But it's regarding what we were talking about earlier. And the suggested question is, and it doesn't have to impute the jury or anybody else. Do you think justice was served in a case involving 6 police officers?
Yeah, or simply, were you surprised by the result of that, by the acquittal of these 6 police officers?
That's
We
a
could do
little
that.
more. That's a little more pointed.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay.
people could say that they feel justice was served.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go with that.
So, Richard, what do you think?
I think either one is fine.
Right. Okay. So, do you think justice was served in the case involving the 6 police officer? Very simple. Yes or no?
Yep. 222-8255, toll-free number for North Americans, 866-525-1099 on WhatsApp at 318-1021 on Facebook and on YouTube.
Good morning, Amazon. Them is not Black Cyber Monday sales.
What's that?
Fix it. Today is not supposed to be Cyber Monday.
Today is
Yeah.
Cyber Monday.
Yeah, today is Cyber Monday.
Amazon fix it. Them sales ain't selling.
But they
I
have
have my basket for weeks now waiting for the price to go down, and the price is the same today. Really?
But a PS5 that was 600 US is now was 599 US is now 499. I could tell you that.
Mhm.
Those Fire Sticks like $15-16 now.
Yeah, those are
Right
cheap.
now.
I
Yeah.
have my Fire Stick. Ask Zena.
CPT Singh says
Let's
no,
take
not
the votes,
surprised.
please. What? What's CB Singh
No,
saying?
no. Nemesis says no to the poll. Good morning, Beauty Culture.
Yeah, I can't. I'm afraid to switch back to chat to see the comments now.
Okay. Long Islander says no. Thank you, Long Islander. Arnos. Okay. Richard Duku says no. Let's grab some calls. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Grandy, yes.
All right, Grandy. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Calling from Arima. The answer is yes.
All right. Thank you, Arima. Have a great one.
Sound like a police officer, boy.
Sunny San Fernando says no to the poll. Carol Guevara says no. Gregory Bauer says no. Thank you so much, guys. Do you think justice was served in the case involving the 6 police officers? Yes or no?
That's our poll this morning. So 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, toll free at 866-525-1099. People can WhatsApp their votes at 868-318-1021. And of course, you can send your votes via the comment section on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
All right, Boily out in Davie says yes. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning, calling from Florida. No.
All right, thank you, Florida.
Did you get Gregory Bauer?
Yeah, I did that.
Anon? But not Anon.
Yeah,
Is it
Carol,
Bauer or Boy?
Carol.
Okay, so Keith says no. Slick Money Grip says no. Arno says no. Julia S. Batiste says no. Thank you so much, guys. Ish out in Malik says no.
Our poll this morning, do you think justice was served in the case involving the 6 police officers? Of course, you could vote either way. It's up to you. Well, how do you see it?
Yeah.
222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on WhatsApp, if you want to vote via WhatsApp, 868-318-1021. 318-1021. Let me repeat that for you. And of course, people on the various platforms can vote by sending messages there, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Let me say belated birthday greetings to Eldon Coker. He celebrated his birthday yesterday. Deborah Wilson is celebrating her birthday today. And who else? Who else? Oh, and Roslyn Harper, Stephen Harper's wife, celebrated her birthday on Saturday.
Apparently,
So,
Gary Griffin celebrated his birthday this weekend also. I saw him
yes,
on Facebook celebrating
Gary Griffith's birthday was yesterday,
in
I think.
South Beach or somewhere in Miami.
That's where he is?
But I saw his family posted pictures of a celebration seemingly in somewhere in Miami.
It's a believe that they visit him.
Yeah, his birthday was, I think, was yesterday.
Wayne B says yes. Beauty Culture says no. Rena Jennings says no. Jean Clark says no. Ingrid Adams says no.
Yeah, Esmond Ford's birthday was also yesterday. Member of Parliament for Tunapuna, his birthday was yesterday.
All right. Sexy San Fernando says no to the poll. Let's see. All right, I got Sunday.
Samuel Paul says no.
Hi, morning. Morning, honey.
Morning, Mrs. R.
Morning, darling. Morning. Morning to the other announcers as well. I would say yes, definitely.
Yeah, the other announcer. We just others now and down.
Yeah. Yeah, I accept.
You know when she married here, she had nobody to call others.
Yeah.
Duh. Why am I calling? Duh.
All right.
Anyhow, yes. Aman says yes. Morning, Steve.
Morning, Derry. All the best. Beauty Culture says no. Rena Boodoo Jennings says no. Jean Clark says no.
I went through all of that already, Steve.
Ingrid Adams as well?
Up to Ingrid Adams. All
right. Gail Austin Pinder says Pincher. What is it?
Pinder says no.
Samuel Paul says no. Trini Bree says yes. Adonna Clark says no. All watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much, guys. All right. Do you think justice was served in the case involving the 6 police officers? Yes or no?
Coming up after the 7 o'clock news, we'll have Professor Deosaran talking about the crime scenario. And later on in the week, I'm working on something from the UWI International Relations Department to comment on the Venezuela-Guyana impasse.
That referendum is coming up this weekend, not so?
December 3rd, this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This weekend, Sunday.
Yes.
Yep. Junior says no. Thank you so much, Junior, via WhatsApp.
The Marionettes concert is also coming up this weekend. I should be attending, God willing. I've already secured my ticket. Morning, attorney at law, Janelle John Bates.
Ticket as in a singular?
Well, I always buy 2 tickets when I'm doing anything. And but I've secured my ticket. I bought 2 tickets actually. As I always do for most events.
But you said my ticket, so I was wondering.
Yeah. So I'm correcting it. Thanks for the observation. Okay. I bought my tickets.
I wonder if you wanted to go a lovely, heartwarming thing like that by yourself.
Yeah, I could go most things by myself, but I always buy 2 tickets just in case someone else wants to go.
Where you are there now?
I am by myself here. Actually, no, I'm with a team of 8 of us here.
Which one is it? I'm by myself? No, I'm with a team of 8.
I'm by myself right now, but it's 8 of us here where we are.
Yourself all evening?
It's morning.
Why you on sale me when though?
I got a no from Gaines.
I was in a very strange place up until 3 o'clock this morning, which is why I joined.
They have a new location. They have a new location. They open a new branch.
It's called Rachel's. Rachel's.
Okay.
Donna Clark says no. Ron M says yes. That's it. All right. Let's get into our 7 o'clock major news, shall we? Of course, Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Investigations are continuing into an early morning arson attack at the licensing office. From today, PSC begins survey to collect data on experiences and satisfaction with performance of the TTPS. The Trinidad and Tobago Contractors Association appeals for contractor licensing and registration legislation, and popular disc jockey is killed in a car crash. Details in a moment. This is News 2, 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning. Investigations are continuing into an early morning arson attack at the licensing office in Caroni, which destroyed 14 vehicles that were impounded in relation to matters currently under investigation by the TTPS. Transport Commissioner Clive Clark said that he learned of the blaze around 4 a.m. after being contacted by facilities personnel. Clark said the security officer on duty reported hearing an explosion prior to the fire. He said that during a patrol, the security guard observed there was a fire in the area where the vehicles were pounded. According to Commissioner, while fire officers were able to get the blaze under control based on what they saw, the TTPS got involved, saying that the matter was now receiving the full attention of both the T&T Fire Service and the TTPS. Clark denied suggestions that the blaze was related to electrical maintenance work that was carried out at the location on Friday. The Caroni licensing office was closed at 2:15 p.m. on Friday, November 24th, to facilitate routine maintenance work. Despite the fire, licensing is expected to resume normal operations today. From today, the public is invited to take part in the Police Service Commission's national survey to collect data on their experiences and satisfaction with the performance of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. The Public Trust, Confidence and Satisfaction Survey provides the public of Trinidad and Tobago with an opportunity to have their say about the responsiveness of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to the safety and security needs and concerns of the public. The survey is one of the tools the Commission uses to undertake its constitutional mandate of monitoring the efficiency and effectiveness of the discharge of the functions of the Commissioner of Police and Deputy Commissioners of Police. The survey findings provide valuable insight into the public's perception of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and assists the Commission in identifying specific measures to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the police service on the whole and its leadership in particular. Last year's survey results were presented in the Commission's 2022 annual report, and this year's findings will also be collected and presented in the 2023 annual report. Meanwhile, to ensure the broadest possible awareness of and access to the survey, the PSI is collaborating with government ministries and departments, non-governmental organizations, and private sector organizations to make the survey available on as many websites and social media sites as possible. The survey is available on the Service Commission Department's website on scd.org.tt/. Members of the public can also complete the survey through quick response codes, which enable fast and easy access by anyone with a smartphone. The Trinidad and Tobago Contractors Association is appealing for legislation for contractor licensing and registration. President of the association, Glenn Mahabir Singh, said the move is if adopted, can help bring about greater efficiency, maintain fair competition, protect against liabilities, and help better protect the market. Mr. Mahabir Singh made the remarks while speaking at the Trinidad and Tobago Contractors Association's 55th anniversary and award ceremony over the weekend. He said the existence of procurement legislation, licensing and registration of contractors will bring many benefits.
Not give up on this legislation. Contractor registration and licensing protects individuals and businesses from losing their money to unscrupulous, unqualified contractors and ensuring projects are completed safely and effectively. It would maintain fair competition, discourage unqualified and unlicensed persons from entering the market, and provide the public with added comfort knowing that registered contractors would have the necessary bonds and insurances to protect against any liability.
Still in the construction arena, Works and Transport Minister Rohan Sinanan says his ministry is working with the Ministry of National Security to reduce instances of contractors being blackmailed by criminal elements.
I don't know how to describe some of these people, but to me, they're just pests coming to contractors and shutting down the project because they have to get money and things like that. I don't think people understand that costs the taxpayers more because projects are delayed. And in some cases, we have to pay police extra duties.
Mr. Sinanan said the illegal practice has serious implications for the country and taxpayers. However, he assured action is being taken to address the development.
Get rid of the criminal elements.
It is easy for me to tell you, don't pay and don't do this. But then I know of instances where your employees are threatened, jobs are shut down and things like that. But we are working with national security to assist you with that because it is something that is really affecting us. We'll put something in place where you will be able to move your equipment at certain times of the day without having to utilize the police to do it. And what we ask of you is that a lot of these equipment be moved not on peak period.
In the entertainment fraternity, it was plunged into mourning early on Sunday when popular disc jockey Clyde the Outlaw Jamot was killed in a car accident. Jamot was in a car heading along the San Fernando to Point Fortin Archibald de Leon highway, but it reportedly flipped before it crashed into a light pole near the Guapo roundabout around 4:30 a.m. on Sunday. According to reports, another occupant of the car, Johan Redhead, was hospitalized. Following the incident, many persons from the entertainment fraternity extended condolences. Poor road lighting and inadequate signage might have factored in the accident on the newly opened highway to Point Fortin that claimed the life of Jamot early on Sunday morning. In a video of the accident posted to social media, it showed the mangled wreck and Jamot's body lying on the roadway. Voices in the background spoke about the poor lighting around the Guapo roundabout where the crash occurred. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Experienced West Indies middle order batter Darren Bravo has decided to take a break from the international game after being overlooked for the upcoming one-day international series against England. Darren Bravo took to social media to announce his decision to move away from selection for West Indies. The left-handed batter last featured in internationals in February 2022. Taking to Instagram, Darren Bravo explained in a post that the decision had given him time to reflect on his future as a cricketer. However, Bravo made it clear that he was not fully done with international cricket just yet. West Indies will take on England in a home white ball tour consisting of 3 ODIs and 5 T20s commencing 3rd December. Today, the Oilfield Workers Trade Union will be hosting an online symposium to mark the 5th anniversary of the closure of the state-owned company Petrotrin and the sending home of all the workers. The theme chosen is Petrotrin 5 years later. Some of the speakers at this event will be energy expert consultant Anthony Paul, economist Marlene Atz, and Jai Leeladhar Singh, coordinator of the Confederation of Regional Business Chambers. The moderator will be JTAM's Assistant General Secretary Trevor Johnson. Finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago mostly fair, hazy and breezy at times despite the odd showery interruption. Hazy night with a gentle breeze. A mild to moderate concentration of Sahara dust is present in the atmosphere, so persons who are sensitive to these conditions should take the necessary precautions. Look out for a forecast to maximum temperature of 32 degrees Celsius, both at Pialco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 24 degrees Celsius at Pialco and 25 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock. Investigations continue into an early morning arson attack at the licensing office. From today, PSC begins survey to collect data on their experiences and satisfaction with the performance of the TTPS. The Trinidad and Tobago Contractors Association appeals for contractor licensing and registration legislation, and a popular disc jockey is killed in a car crash. I'm Avril Sendelbab. That was news till 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You can join her again come 8 o'clock for our news brief. Quickly, let's take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. Naprima Mayara Road from the Solo towards a roundabout, you got some traffic. Also, Taruba Link Road, you've got traffic as you from Naprima Mayara Road heading towards the highway, exiting the highway southbound. Also got some traffic. Heading north, you'll get traffic, let's see. Riverland Road is a bit busy. Shoguanas Main Road is a bit busy. Charlieville is where your traffic will start towards interchange. Southern Main Road from Chinchin Road heading to Ibis Gardens. Ibis Gardens towards the Canoe Roundabout is heavy. Kelly Village heading to the back of the airport, going to Santa Rosa, O'Mara Road, Piaco towards UE, Valsay in the Port of Spain. Eastern Main Road, you're going to really pick it up pretty much from St. Joseph heading towards Movan. Coming out to Maravala, Dago, still heavy. All right. Got some other votes coming in. Guy Small says no to the poll. And good morning to D. Charles. Yeah, and that's I have no other votes for you. Just checking. Okay. All right, that's it. So the results of our morning poll.
Well, we had 31 people voting on the poll this morning. And of the 31 people, 24 of you said no. You do not think justice was served in the case of the 6 police officers. And 7 of you said yes, you do think justice was served. So 31 people voting on the poll. 24 of you said yes. No, 24 of you said no. And 7 of you said yes. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through our programming, and we give it the final result on, well, tomorrow morning, Tuesday.
Without commenting on their innocence or guilt, I think justice was not served primarily because of the length of the time the trial took to finish, to be completed. I think that is the main contributing factor either way. I don't know what the evidence was, so I can't comment on their innocence and or guilt. That'll be speculation, but I do know that the trial was significantly negatively affected the length of time it took to come to completion. Which is keeping with the principles of justice. Which there are 3 main principles, including the time it takes to bring the defendants to court, the gravity of the evidence presented, if convicted, the punishment must be proportional to the crime.
Well, I could simply say that based on what we read, the evidence that was presented in the news, and especially the fact that a police officer had turned the state witness for all those years without any indication of changing that changing her testimony, because she didn't change it. She simply just decided at the trial that she did not wish to testify. Nothing was changed, in my opinion. So it was very surprising to me that a not guilty verdict.
We have to be careful with that, but let me tell you why. The female officer who presented that evidence initially, never subjected herself to cross-examination. So you don't know. We don't know if the evidence could have been discounted or dismissed based on cross-examination. So it's one thing to say something in your initial presentations, but if you don't subject yourself to cross-examination, as is part of the criminal justice system in the courts, we can't verify or confirm if the information she presented was up to mark.
Right. Which is I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that for let me just say what I want to say. Huh?
I know what you want to say because I want to say the same thing, but we also have to keep in mind the principles of the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
is anybody could say anything, but your
I think,
testimony or your information has to be subject to interrogation.
Yes.
Because somebody could say something like, "But you know Wendell." Let me put them up. You understand?
Yeah.
And then 5 years from now, the case take 5 years or 7 years or 10 years to come to fruition. Your life on hold, and then they say, "Me and this say again." And what they said about you is not interrogating, and people walk away with a particular impression of you.
Yeah, but that's already happening. Yeah, that's already happening. So
whether we believe it or not, and that's why it's important that the whole process take place in a timely manner.
Right. So yes. So then I would say I would also join you in your opinion that maybe because of the length of time that it took, that you can say that justice was not served in this matter.
And I have heard
however way the verdict would have
I have heard prominent attorneys at law, senior counsel say one of the best defenses accused have sometimes is stretch out the damn case.
It's time. Yes, true.
That's one of the best mechanisms or strategies in criminal matters.
Yeah.
Stretch it out as long as possible. Because witnesses' memory fades, evidence goes missing, but it's also unfair to the accused.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So, I mean, who won in this? Who won? Well, the men are free, the 6 officers, but I mean,
have they said anything?
Of them, one, and the families of the victims also feel a particular way about the outcome. So, I mean, who has won?
Right. So we've heard from the families of the victims. Have we heard anything from the police officers? Normally you'd get a comment saying, well, I was wrongfully accused and I was there wallowing in prison all this time and they're considering suing the state. Have we heard anything like that?
718. So late already. We're perfectionists.
Okay. I also will accept that response too, Paul.
But you're right. Because if I wait 11 years and exonerate, I come right and cussing everybody.
Yeah. I sue the state.
Why are you suing the state? Why are you suing the state? The state acted based on the process that is outlined in law.
So keeping me in jail all this time and I didn't do anything?
You was on bail.
Were they out on bail? No.
When they were in jail?
Weren't they in custody?
Not for a while. I don't think they were in custody for 11 years. Were they?
Richard,
you're muted.
You're muted, Richard.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Yeah. If you're charged with murder, then you had no bail previously until that decision. Was it last year or earlier this year?
Yeah, so they were in custody.
They were in jail.
Once you're charged with murder, you would be in prison.
Yeah.
But then makes
until recent, it's only fairly recently they started to grant bail pursuant to a Privy Council decision.
Yeah.
Fairly recent.
Yeah, they were in custody all those years. So I coming out blazing. I swim because as far as I'm concerned, I was innocent, and you had me in jail all this time. I swim from a side.
Not based on a particular legal process and principles and laws. I didn't put you in jail just so there was a particular benchmark met in the DPP's mind to charge you. And the law at that time stated, until the part of Richard referenced earlier, that if you are charged with murder up to that time when the law was changed, that you were held in custody. So how the state for
if they want, they could still sue if they figure that it was a malicious prosecution.
Malicious prosecution, yes.
Yeah, they can sue and say, look, this was malicious. There really was never sufficient evidence. And you could say it was done to appease a public uproar, and it was not based on any evidential requirements. And I lost 11 years of my life.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to prove it beyond the balance of probabilities.
Has
I
the
know it's
state
not
On the
also?
balance of probability, sorry. On the balance of probability, you're going to have to prove.
in the US, even though you were exonerated on criminal charges, the families can sue the accused or the exonerated.
In the civil arena.
Yes,
Because in the civil arena,
yeah.
the
Does that
balance of
occur here?
probabilities, yeah, well, the balance of probabilities is the test. So, whereas in criminal matters, the test is beyond reasonable doubt, or the burden of proof is beyond reasonable doubt. The burden of proof in civil cases is on the balance of probabilities. So it's a lesser standard. So that's
I
why
do
they
have
would
Professor Ramesh Deosaran online. Good morning to you, Professor.
Morning, Steve. Morning.
Morning, of course. Paul Richards, Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragabar Singh, also on the program.
Thank you. Good to have them there once again.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Morning, Professor Deosaran.
All right.
Yes, we're doing good, Wen.
All right. Good. Okay. Right.
Well, let's start with what we're talking about now. And thank you for joining us. Did you get the stuff I sent yesterday?
The what?
Did you get the stuff I sent yesterday?
You mean the statistics?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Richard sent it to me, Paul.
Okay, cool. This is Paul. All right. We're talking about the case involving the 6 officers, and of course, we're trying to be responsible. And my contention is that justice, we asked the question this morning, was justice served? My contention is justice was not served because of the length of time the trial took to be completed. So, and with the principles of the criminal justice system, timeliness, evidence going missing, eventually the main witness deciding she was not going to testify again, she was deemed a hostile witness. Do you think justice was served based on the overall information available and those considerations?
Well, in the legal profession and the study of law, there's always hovering over the legalities and the provisions in law. It's something well-known jurisprudence, which goes beyond, and it talks about justice going beyond the law itself. That is, the law can block justice sometimes. And it happened many times because the strictures of the law, justice is not properly served according to jurisprudential principles. So I think what the people are saying now is, in terms of justice not being served, they are appealing to a higher order of thinking. Maybe there is some moral connection to it, or in looking at the process used, apart from the long delays and apart from the maneuvering of the jury's minds, that is quite obvious, and so on, they feel that justice was not served. So there is a basis, but at the same time, the courts depend on the law. The Privy Council, of course, will depend on the jury decision. But people who follow the process, with the witness giving us some assault, and so on, and sometimes the language used by the lawyers in terms of addressing the jury, that psychological manipulation has left people to feel that justice had not been served. So it depends on how you look at it. If it goes to the Privy Council, for example, the Privy Council will very likely look at the jury decision as being irreversible, unless there is some perverse element in it. And who knows, maybe that could be found in the judgment eventually if it goes off for a higher thinking. But they were usually
if it's appealed, I don't know if the state is interested in appealing it at this point, but that would be if it was appealed, or if it is going to be appealed.
If it were appealed, I'm saying if it were appealed, Mm-hmm. So that's it. But there's some dissatisfaction about the verdict, but the fact is the legal system has worked legally. That is, one has to look at whether that those allowances in the trial should be permitted, the extent to which the judge tolerated certain things in the courtroom. I mean, she was within her remit, I would imagine, but at the same time, things could be excessive. Something could be right to do, but it's not right to do it. So there's a puzzlement in the public mind, but that too will die down. We are a very amnesic society.
I love that amnesic society. I love that, Professor Deosaran. Yeah, I'm going to borrow that. Well, the Police Service Commission is about to embark.
I think it's a new thing to us, although it was done last month and last year. The same thing with the election financing. If you read the report, how many times different governments have promised to implement election financing regulation, and it comes up as something new, brand. So
and doing that,
we forget very easily because we want to publish something new, not knowing the same thing we call it new is was old, very old.
Going back to the statistics that were shared.
Thrive. The politicians thrive on the extent that we forget things what they said before and what they promised before, because we're suffering from political amnesia.
Going back to the information that was shared with the national community by the Minister of National Security on Friday in the Senate, and the police rates for September 2022 to September 2023. What is your overall impression of that information?
You mean the statistics that were released?
Yes. In terms of police performance.
Oh, police performance. That's another old story, Paul. Nothing new about that. That's a very old story. I mean, my Newsday column Sunday, I revived something that happened in 1987. The same situation. I pointed out, I mean, you're in an honorable place now. You have been trying your best. The questions you have been asking are quite relevant, useful to the public. I have borrowed some of the question and answers that you got. I refer to 1987, for example, when Selwyn Richardson was Attorney General and Mr. Rodriguez, Jim Rodriguez was posting of police commissioner. The detection rate was 12%. 12% for serious crimes, especially home invasions and murder and so on. 12%. Today we have about the same thing. So between 1987 and now, there's nothing new. I told the government and parliament you cannot have this. So the detection rate, as it is a great inspiration for further criminality. Because if you have 12% of the murders detected, you know how many other murders are done and not detected? And that has been accumulated over the years. If you look at the statistics in terms of cumulative result, you have thousands of criminals, murderers still on the loose. And most likely, they are the ones who will be repeating the murders because they have not been caught. So some of the murders are done by repeat offenders. And rather than looking at the statistic, well, we have 610 murders this year. It was a little more than last year. And we cannot dwell on that end of the statistics. The more important pressing issue in the crime scenario and in the policing is the detection rate. The police will tell you, well, we cannot help a domestic murder. We cannot help gangs shooting one another. But police work directly is on the detection rate, where you have to test your intelligence, your surveillance techniques, cooperation from the public, and all of those elements fall into detection. And if the police are not doing the detection well, you see the result, 12%, 15% every year on murder rate. And if you frighten about murderers and that kind of violence, and you do not look at the detection rate, we'll be missing something big.
And this might sound very simplistic, but explain to the public what detection rate means. What does detection rate mean, specifically as relates to police performance?
Well, detection rate has a little problem there because it means you just detect, you just suspect, you just arrest. It's not solving the crime anymore. You just arrest somebody. You charge them. Whether or not they get off or whether or not they get convicted is a different story. But that prosecution rate is even much lower than the detection rate.
It's under 4%.
Yeah. So we live in a criminal nightmare without doing it. But we keep repeating the same thing and making it look fresh as if it's something new. And then the minister will tell you, well, I will fight like hell. The commissioner telling you, well, we're telling the criminals, beware, we're coming for you. And that's the same repetitive scaremongering that takes us nowhere. We have to get down to fundamentals, restructure the police service.
You were a past chair of the Police Service Commission. They're embarking on another public satisfaction and trust survey. 2 weeks ago, the police announced an operation that resulted in 15 or so reputed gang leaders being picked up. Eventually, they were, I think, most, if not all, released. A couple were charged with loitering. What is the gap there? Because there was a big announcement of a police operation that's 15 reputed gang leaders. And now they have seemingly all been released, a couple charged with loitering. Is the gap 7 released, right?
7 charged with loitering.
Right. What is the gap there? The police have often said their intelligence didn't lead to evidence gathering. But what is the gap in police performance with evidence gathering to ensure that that sort of scenario doesn't happen continuously, which erodes public confidence in the police ability and performance?
My view on that is the same view I had between 2010 and 2015. They made a big raid in the East Dry River area, and the police snatched more than a dozen suspected gang leaders and criminals. And soon afterwards, they had to release them, to the point that some of these people sued the government, the police, for wrongful arrest and so on. And that was a big story, similar to what we're having now. So the amnesia principle works again. We forget what happened. We learn nothing from that experience. So we make announcements, and we fail just as we did on the last occasion.
But what is the gap in police competence, do you think?
Well, that is the point. The police, I have been asking, and like you too, and a lot of people, some people brighter than me, have been asking, what does the police need to improve their intelligence, their surveillance techniques? I don't know. I don't want to say they're lazy, because I mean the police need help. Whatever help we can give, it concerns the whole country. But what it is they need, what the commissioner should do now. Tell the government what we need. More training. Is it you want to upgrade the police entry, make them more qualified professionally, like you do with teachers? All those fundamentals. We had proposed a police inspectorate to go around each police station every day and on the site, see what's happening, what they need, beef up the collaboration with the public, see where there's shortage of staff at a particular police station. The government is not doing any such thing. We keep driving the same old motor car every day. Same announcement, same deficiency. So what is happening at the end of all of this? The people have become very demoralized. They're not inspired to help the police. And you cannot run a society, a democratic society, with a very, very demoralized society, hearing the same thing year after year and not having any positive results. And I don't know if any election would change this. I don't know if an election would change anything like this, because the system and the management of the system and all the different institutions not working. So I don't know what magic a new election would cause, and all the bragging we're hearing from different sources. I don't think that will make any difference to the society, the taxpayers, lawful people who remain frightened. A lot of businessmen say their business going down because people afraid to come out. And there was a time when you had to close gas stations very, very early. So we come into that time, and I don't think we're moving upwards.
Professor,
progress. Society should make progress year after year. Not so in this country yet.
Professor Deosaran, you said something just now that triggered something in my mind in terms of this particular matter that was just decided upon in terms of the freeing of the 6 police officers charged. In that, when that incident took place 11, 12 years ago, all officers involved in that matter, they all were charged, including the one who turned state witness. And it was because of the citizenry coming forward with information and having an outcry in terms of those killings. It was triggered first by the citizenry. Now, how would the citizenry feel 11 years later, where all the officers are now free based on their outcry and their bringing certain information towards the police at that point in time that triggered 7 of them being charged, 1 turning state witness, and now all 6 who were eventually charged freed. How does that inspire confidence in the citizenry in terms of partnering with the police and bringing information forward?
I know, I know what you're implying, but to get deeply into that, I think it'll be a troublesome issue because what we're saying, we outside here and we playing judge and jury outside the legal process. I think when I come back to my original statement, the difference between a legal process and jurisprudence. But the process has been acted upon. You had lawyers on both sides. And usually in such high profile cases, the defense counsel is usually much more superior in terms of experience than the prosecutors. So that's another issue now. We don't have any equality in the trial. That is, it becomes an economic issue. If you could pay plenty to hire these experienced lawyers, well, half of the case gone already. So all the nuances, you know, what some of us have been studying and look at what we call justice is blind. Justice is never blind. Justice eyes are wide to see where the money coming from, who is the personality, are there politics in it, and all these things that intrude the justice system. Now, in answer to your question, the case I believe has been tried. There is a result, and I think that is what I will prefer to live by temporarily. But I know there are higher order thinking about it. There are issues still not resolved in terms of the citizens supporting the police, and then left with this kind of result. But they will say the trial has been held and open. There's a public trial. The press reported on it. So you will have you'll have a weak defense to go that route about the citizen being demoralized now because they will tell you the trial has been held in public.
Yeah,
the judge was there.
Well, I know the current commissioner of police has stated at different times, well, at least once, that they're trying new stuff and they're going to get a handle on the crime and the serious crime is down. They always give us the same kind of spiel and we never show, well, how much is it? Because on the ground, people feel unsafe or people feel that they have to be extra vigilant. And how do we, because this problem has to be solved. And I don't know if the TTPS meeting with the 15 gang members was, I assume in their mind, it was an attempt to try and put a stay on the violence that the country is experiencing.
Had that been confirmed?
Well, I don't know if it has been confirmed, but that's what's certainly out there. The issue of the accountability in terms of the statistics in how much people are actually arrested for certain crimes, the issue of the leave that was granted, extended long leave for certain senior officers, that came up as part of the narrative in terms of the issue of crime and dealing with it. And people are wondering, well, is this also a tool? Is it that they want to get rid of some of the senior officers in a diplomatic way? I don't know how you saw all of these things, Mr. Deosaran, in terms of is there any newness to the old that you see being attempted?
Well, there's another disease alongside the amnesia syndrome. It's called déjà vu. Déjà vu. Sometimes I suffer from a lot of déjà vu. I see it before, I see it again. So I'm a victim of déjà vu, just like you perhaps are. This thing about the gang talks, let us perhaps look at it in a few steps. Gangs meeting to have peace talks. To me, that's a very ironical event here. A gang, as defined in the anti-gang legislation, is a group committed to violence or having committed crimes before. That's the fundamental definition. So I don't know how a gang could negotiate for peace. That is not a gang, by definition, is a violent entity. So I don't understand how you're going to find peace because you're putting yourself out of a job, more or less. Your job is violence. You're known for that. You have been defined as such. There are records. The police themselves know that. So I don't understand why you're negotiating peace. That is for maybe Hamas and Israel. That's a different thing. But you can't negotiate peace. You're a gang. You are known as a gang member. The police have their work to do in that regard. Secondly, I agree with Dr. Rowley. The police cannot intervene too deeply as mediator and referee in this matter. What is the police doing there? More confusingly, Steve, is that after Mark Bashanta's investigative reporting, as he does, when he made the announcement without any reliable source, he just said senior sources and sources said and so on. The next day, it was denied, especially by Senior Superintendent Alexander. So we don't know where the information came from.
But it's Mark Basanta, so
it's true or not, as Paul is asking. Is it confirmed? Not confirmed yet. So you have this thing at the top playing like tic-tac-toe policing. You don't know where the truth, especially when all the reports published in the papers about crime and who shoot whom and so on. That report regularly comes from the police, and it's difficult to get collaboration. So you see what is happening in the police service, and those two displays with guns and ammunition. One they found in Santa Cruz, big theatrical advertisement and announcements. The other one found somewhere in Central. Who is charged so far? Who is charged? Where is the detection to that from those?
I think that the public, Professor Deosaran, looks on and sees the issue with the 15 people picked up and then released 7 charged with loitering. Big announcements about illegal gun fines, and you don't see accompanying charges being laid. I mean, it kind of confuses the public as to, well, what is actually happening? Are they just, some people are speculating, is it a PR stunt? How come nobody's charged if on one report states you've been monitoring the situation under surveillance for a while, and the other report states you stumbled upon this cache of weapons and you don't know what is east, what is west, what is north, what is south with the information?
Well, you're quite correct. I think you're quite correct. It shows the gap that you're asking about earlier on. What I would expect from a sophisticated police service and senior experienced police officers is not the public relations. What I would have expected is for them to be monitoring that cache of arms for weeks, if it takes weeks. Plant somebody there nearby, he's a gardener or pretending to bathe or walking around or something, and do a surveillance. So you will capture both the arms and ammunition and a suspect at the same time, and then you tell the public so and so, and then the public confidence will rise in you. But you put in something as if it's the cart before the horse. You bring in these things before the public to frighten them more than they're already frightened on 2 occasions. So what you're doing here implicitly, even though you want to show that we find something special and we doing our work. No, you're not doing your work. You have a deficiency. Now, Paul, like yourself, I don't like criticizing the police, When Christopher Haywood was appointed, I know the deficiency with the politics involved. I understand that. But I came out and said, give Ola a chance. Let us see, because the bottom line is this is our country. The police have to protect all of us, constitutionally and operationally. So we can't pull them down all the time, but sometimes you really have to look at them with a second eye and find out what is really going on. And the government should take stock too as to what do the police service need that we should give them. And what we give them, are they using it properly? Paul, you remember that there was a time when Philbert and Snaggs and all these commissioners before were complaining heavily. We have no power, and that is keeping us back. We can't hire people, we can't transfer them if we want, a lot of bureaucracy. The parliament gave the commissioner of police full power now, complete powers to manage the resources, the finances, everything. I mean, if you see the list of power the commissioner has, and this commission only has two streams of power, to monitor and evaluate the commissioner and the deputy commissioner. Nothing else. So they can create a succession system in the police service. So there is another group of shadow boxers there, not their fault, but they are only there for symbolic reasons, because in the end of it all as well, to complete the story, is the Prime Minister who appoints the commissioner or refuses to appoint the commissioner. So we have a culture of shadow boxing in this country. A lot of talk. I don't mean you, I mean, I don't mean you, but a lot of talk and promises and complaint, but nothing being done. Nothing being done.
You were the main author in the police manpower audit report, which is commissioned by Dr. Rowley, and his administration is still in power. Do you think a lot of the recommendations have actually been taken on and executed effectively?
Well, that's a crying shame, if I have to say so. It's a crying shame that you have 8 experienced people on that committee. Ola Christopher was a member. She signed and agreed with the report. One thing, as I said before, we recommended is a police inspectorate. After a lot of studies and analyses and so on, to make the police more fit for purpose. They have thrown that in the dustbin. Now, one reason too related to that is why I don't like to speak about it. You know, in this country, if you only talk about things, they say you have an ego and you're waving your own flag and so on. So I don't have to talk too much about it. But sometimes you have to look and see, well, after all, I'm speaking on behalf of the 8 people. You had 8, you have a lawyer, you had, and we interviewed the DPP, we interviewed judges, magistrates, we interviewed former prime ministers, former commissioners, business people. We went through that for a whole year. We gave a report, and now we're not hearing much about the report. It went to Parliament, and it got studied. It just stopped. The process stopped. They were supposed to approve it formally and so on. It was laid in Parliament. So in a nutshell, they haven't really examined it and implemented what we had been asking for. And not me alone, the 8 people there, very qualified, experienced. I mean, they agree with all the recommendations. It is a 600-page document. And that
but it's ironic that and it's right that the present commissioner, Earl Hayward Christopher, was one of the 8 people who would have signed off on the recommendations. And I don't know that she's being assertive in terms of trying to implement the recommendations. And one in particular, one data point in particular that shocked everyone was the data point when regarding corruption of corrupt police officers, when police officers themselves had a high rating of saying they felt the service was corrupt. And I'm wondering how much has been done and how effectively so to rid the police service of these corrupt officers.
That's true. And linked to that, we discovered through a string of interviews and meeting people and visiting certain police stations, we discovered what has been known before, but we confirmed that. In the police service, if the responsible group is going to make a raid, a drug raid or an arms raid, the message leaves the police service before that raid is committed. You have inside officers relaying information that stymie the raid intended by the police. So you have a very deleterious circumstance there because you can't trust your fellow officers. You could get killed for that matter. So we thought there would something be done with that in terms of, and I'm come back to something that Dr. Rowley proposed. I think we should give second consideration to the vetted units he's talking about. He has said so. A lot of other senior people have said so. There's too much corruption in the police service, so we have to look at something like who will guard the guards. And if the vetting unit will help, not just symbolically, but they will go deep down into the police service and help clean it up. And Ola Christopher should do some heavy work in that regard. One step possibly she's taking is to all this long leave. The manpower audit found some officers with 300 days leave, due leave. You can't have a police service running with so many people leaving not taking their vacation leave and so on. and running that is attracting mental illness.
Professor Deosaran, yeah. As you spoke, I too, we too, I think, if I'm not mistaken, on the Power Breakfast Show, supported the issue of the vetted unit that Dr. Rowley had proposed, because we more or less had something similar with the Special Anti-Crime Unit under Patrick Manning. Tell me, what are your thoughts on the Professional Standards Bureau that investigates police officers and recommends charges, and in some cases charge themselves? What are your thoughts on that, and especially in light of the recent charges against police officers coming out of that particular unit?
Well, we did interview the Professional Bureau people from top to bottom. We had a long talk with them. We interviewed customs, immigration, and so on, because we found that to deal with corruption and the kind of white-collar crime you're speaking about, you will need a rigid coordination among all these agencies. So, in that broad context, we spoke to the Professional Bureau people, and they started to talk about, well, we need coordination, and we have too many different intelligence units and so on. But the fact is, that shouldn't stop them from doing what they're supposed to do. And I don't think the public now is having the kind of confidence they should have in the Professional Bureau standards people. I mean, you have found now and again people within the Bureau being charged for one thing or another. And I think the Professional Bureau standards should give a report now as to what their achievements are and publicize it. I don't know if there's anything national security about that, but be as it may, I think we need to know more about the Professional Standards Bureau people and what they're doing and how effective they are. Because if you have that, then why is the need for Dr. Rowley to talk about having vetted units? Most of the what he spoke about and of concern to us fall within the ambit of the Professional Standards Bureau.
Yeah. I don't know if I know Paul would have sent me a video on El Salvador and the president of El Salvador, President Bukele. And of course, El Salvador was often number one in terms of the rates of murders across the world per capita, was often number one since 2012 to 2015, 16, 17, was there for many years as number one. From 2019, when President Bukele came into power, he started to implement certain things, albeit controversial, not without some controversy, in dealing with the gang warfare in El Salvador, which of course was huge. And one of the things that he introduced was something called, I think, the Territorial National Plan, and then the state of exception. The state of exception is akin to our state of emergency. But one of the Territorial National Plan that he started off with was one where the government took even heavier control of the jails across El Salvador, preventing communication, from any communication whatsoever from cells to anywhere outside. So they really restricted any communication to become out. They also started to mix. Generally, you keep gang members away in the prison system. He said, no, put them in the same cells. Very harsh measures that were even criticized by Amnesty International and other agencies like that. The state of exception, of course, was where constitutional guarantees are restricted, and they increased police and army across various districts in El Salvador with a heavy presence. El Salvador's dropped out of the top 20 in 2019. 2022 was their safest year ever. They got one down to 445 murders. And 2023, they've gone through 224 days without a murder. And I don't know what lessons can be learned. I don't know if you have looked at the El Salvador situation at all, Professor Deosaran. No. And whether there is anything to be learned or gleaned from it, or not. But I know it's Paul who made me look into it a little bit more, because he sent a video which talked about it. And I was interested in seeing, well, what did they do? And of course, it was very harsh measures, but here it is, 92% of the population agrees with it.
You see this. Well, if you want to relate that to Trinidad, we things have gone so far left in this country with gangs and the political connection with contracts and so on. We have nurtured gangs in a certain way because in this country, I want to come down to a basic issue here. In this country, the politician gets so desperate, especially if they're going into an election, that they will likely do anything to win. Anything to win now is a symptom of their desperation, and we're entering into that zone now. If you decide to implement some of the harsh measures required, you will hear the other side complaining, which is what we have. Anything the government tries to do, look at the vetted units issue. Without examining, I know there was a precedent before. We tried to have something anti-crime unit sort that run into some legal problems. I think when I was in Parliament, that came up. But you could solve the problems. Those problems, legal, you could solve the legal problem by having a legal approach to it. I mean, that's the system. But we have an adversarial system here that has degenerated into personality clashes, into anything one side said, the other side will oppose it without any reason because elections come in, especially now. Now, what I hear you saying about San Salvador, what we can follow there,
El Salvador.
Pardon me?
No, I said El Salvador.
Yeah, El Salvador, yeah. We have to take some drastic measures, if not in a long-term way, but for symbolic reasons. Look what the Minister Gatsby Dolly. I don't want to depart too far from what you're talking about, but at the same time, there are two issues arise in my mind. One is that the move to put these misbehaving students, repeat offenders as they were, because they were suspended before. I know you're expelling them. I think last year was 6 or so far. The year before you had 3. So there seems to be a growth. She took certain action. There seem to be certain gaps. I don't want to elaborate too much on that now because, but the other hand is that when you talk about prison, for example, this is another example. The cabinet appointed a committee with commissioners and the ministers and so on. I chair that committee to review the prison service with particular reference to the remand yard. We did a report in terms of the communication system between the prisoners and outsiders and a number of things. We asked the judiciary to hustle up because you have people in remand yard for 12, 13 years. Now, what do you expect when such persons come out after being there for so long? And we made a lot of recommendations. I was chairman of the committee, but we had the ministers, we had the commissioners, we had the prison commissioner, we had all these people giving views, meeting every day, produce a report now. And I think the media have the same suffering from amnesia. They don't revive these issues. They are the ones who are to remind the public and take up the public interest and ask, where is the report now? Because they will publish the same thing as they have been doing as if it's new. When you talk about the prisons, they look as if it's something new. That problem is an old one. Tell the public what has not been done and the government should have done it. And then you're serving the public interest. And then you're following the Constitution, Section 4, freedom of movement, privacy, public safety. The press has to safeguard the Constitution too, in such a way. So we have deja vu, as I said, and we have the amnesia syndrome once again. Things about the prison like El Salvador are done. We wouldn't reach so far, but we were proposing things to ameliorate the situation that's happening in the prisons. And the cabinet didn't take it on. You appoint a committee, and when they give you the report, you hear not a whisper from that report.
Yeah, but part of what El Salvador is also doing is that they're tackling young people from preventing young people from wanting to join gangs. So we are also targeting some of the resources there by trying to actively go into at-risk communities and showing them and giving them really drilling down into giving younger people more options in terms of what they can do rather than join a gang. So they have already concentrated certain efforts in those departments in a very drilled down way. I'm not saying their system is perfect, because I said there has been some controversy about it, but it certainly has the support of a lot of the population in El Salvador. So I don't know if there's something that we can learn from it or not. I don't.
Well, hopefully, the programs that Foster Cummins has embarked upon, that is going in that direction. Give the young people something alternative and build up not only their skills, but build up their confidence, their self-esteem, and give them some inspiration, because I think Paul has made mention of this several times as far as I've heard him. What these young people need to do is to set a goal. What I have found in our research in the secondary schools is that people in Form 4 and 5 have no goals. And it's not everybody. What we found in the school is the education system is a cradle for inequity. That is, the middle and upper class students, they have a goal because of the family environment. One want to be an aeronautic engineer, one want to be an accountant, and so on. But the working class group of students, they had no goal at all. If you ask them what you want to be, they just laugh and they give the body language, grimacing as if they don't know what to say. They will say police. And they will say I would have been the Coast Guard, which is good.
Because they have not been given the tools to have self-esteem to believe they can do it. Unfortunately, we are out of time, Professor Deosaran, but as usual, thank you for being with us. It's a whole... Anyway, thank you for being with us today. And be safe as you do it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Professor Ramesh Deosaran.
If you don't make a young person, give a young person the tools to feel they could accomplish something, they're not going to have any goals or hope to accomplish anything. They're not going to set any goals anyway. You'll have a great day. Be safe.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning to Kizzy. She's online listening. She's out there in Orlando, Florida. Good morning, Kizzy. And thanks for joining us.
Who's Kizzy?
Sorry?
Who's Kizzy?
Kizzy is I met a whole group of people recently and got them to agree to start listening to the best show on radio. She's one of them.
Yeah.
A whole lot of people are out in Orlando, Florida in particular.
I hear you, Wendell. I ain't saying no word.
No, don't.
No, I can't say a word.
But we've got some new fans.
You had a
new fans.
Yeah. So have a fantastic day, people. It's Monday morning, I know, but we are zooming towards Christmas. So you should be in a good mood, whatever you're doing.
Yeah. How many more days to Christmas, Rich?
And have a great day, and remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health.
How many more days to Christmas?
And I recognize all of the people coming up on the stream. Before we exit, Kizzy, which Wendell just mentioned, Svini, Zvi, how is pronounced that? Zvi, Sveey, Olua, Olufimi, teach the children the truth. Trinidad will blow before you do what the authorities doing in El Salvador. Johannes Ned, last night I dreamt the people came together and forced the government and the opposition to sign a bill to cut all corrupt government officials.
Which people?
Yeah.
Trinidad, yet.
Those are some of the comments. Even Scorpion Pepper and all of you, thank you so much for commenting and being part of the discussion. And of course, you can join us again tomorrow where we continue with topics like this.
All right.
Diana,
have a wonderful day.
Morning, in Boston, morning.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God.
Smile and laugh. It's great for your health. Laughing is extremely good for your health. Trust.
All right, gentlemen, have a good one. Chat with you guys bright and early come tomorrow morning. As you